Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, at the last press conference today. Good evening. It is a true pleasure and honor to introduce the head of the NEC, Judge Sylwester Marciniak. Deputy head of the NEC, Judge Zbigniew Cieślak. Member of the NEC, Konrad Skłodowski. Member of the NEC, Ryszard Balicki. And head of the National Electoral Office and Secretary of the NEC, Minister Magdalena Pietrzak. Over to you, sir. Thank you. Well, we meet here at 10 p.m. There was no prolongation of election silence. You probably know the exit polls, which is some good news. We provide you with the data from the district electoral commissions, and indeed the turnout seems to be record high in comparison with recent years. However, there were some situations related to the election process in comparison with the last conference when we presented data as of 2 p.m. concerning offences and crimes. The number rose until 6 p.m. However, altogether there were rather few incidents. When it comes to suspected crimes related to the election process, there were 25 such cases and 270 offences, altogether 295 situations. There was actually an anecdotal situation. One lady who cast her vote put her identity document to the ballot box, hence she has to wait until all the ballot papers are taken out. Another situation that I would like to share with you happened in Krakow. It was stated that in the lobby in front of the polling station there was a bag with pneumatic guns. Soon it was possible to find the owner of the guns, who went home leaving the bag there. There were many situations in which the voter took the ballot paper with him or herself without putting it to the ballot box, where such situations happen time and again. Another less than typical situation occurred when a person stated that she would like to vote in the process of postal voting, received the package, and then came to the polling station. It was concluded that the person wanted to vote twice, which was of course punishable. There were some issues related to the voting packages. Some voters returned their envelopes without putting the envelope with the ballot paper into it, but presenting them separately, or did it so without the certificate. There were some polling stations where there were some small blackouts, but still there was not reason enough to prolong the election silence. We had some reports about voters trying to cheat people into giving them their ballot papers, but these are rather unconfirmed stories, not facts. There were some rare situations, for instance, in Katowice, when people coming to vote found a signature which was not theirs next to their name. So it had to be clarified whether a person signed in an incorrect place or whether they wanted to vote twice. Another family-related situation occurred in Kielce. A husband took the ballot paper for his father, and the father cast a vote for himself, and his son had to say whether that was agreed or was just a technical era. These are all technical glitches, as you can all see and hear. These were minor events without any impact on the results of the election process. That's it. Should you have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, now would be the time to do so. Good evening. When can we expect full data about the turnout? We know the exit polls. When will we know the full results? Please give me the optimistic and the pessimistic scenario. Let me remind you that with the act of 2nd of June, amending the rules of voting and presenting the results of voting abroad, normally we would wait for the results from abroad for 24 hours. If the results, the protocols didn't reach us, then they were not included. In the new act, this was prolonged to 48 hours. If there are any problems with protocols from 169 constituencies abroad, then we will wait for 48 hours. That means until 9 p.m. on Tuesday. I hope, however, that this will not happen. And just like my colleague said, Tuesday might be a possible date. I would say Wednesday at the latest, Wednesday in the morning. But we will do our best. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all members of District Electoral Commission. The voting part ended. Now it's about determining the results. Huge workload at night. Now it's 10 p.m. and people need to be focused. The whole composition of the Commission needs to take the ballot papers out of the ballot box. We had 200,000 packages in the postal voting within Poland. In terms of presidential election, the story is pretty simple. There's just one ballot paper, 11 candidates. So we do hope that counting the votes in individual commissions will be quick, but bear in mind that's over 27,000 district electoral commissions. We have different people, over 200,000 people engaged in the process of counting the votes. So there are many factors still at play. Even the tiniest commission can be the determining factor whether the regional commission will obtain all protocols from district commissions. And again, I would like to thank all uniformed services. It's thanks to them that we had so few incidents. And I would also like to thank the media. Natalia Żyto, Radio Z. What about the situation that is presented in the internet? A photo was shown there with one stamp only. Did you get any reports about such situations, and will such a vote with one stamp be valid or not? Yes, we received reports about individual cases like that. Just like during all previous elections in the past, it happens sometimes that in the morning when the Commission stamps the ballot papers, there are some small errors. That's why we always emphasize that each voter should look at the ballot paper and check whether the stamps are there. This is the only moment when you can ask your ballot paper to be stamped. If a voter doesn't notice that and casts his or her vote on such a ballot paper and puts it to the ballot box, then that's an invalid vote because there is no stamp of authenticity. And if the stamp is of poor quality, is barely legible, well, then the Commission will know that it was their stamp and it will be a valid vote. And what about reports from voters who stated that when they wanted to use the ePUAP service to have their names included on the voters lists, they didn't receive any confirmation information. People had to call or seek additional information. Did you get reports about that? Yes, we did. And again, this situation results from a simple fact that a PUAP service allows you to add your name to the register of voters and the list of voters. And we actually experience this problem time and again. The electoral code doesn't specify that a confirmation is necessary. That's the problem. If a voter wants to have his or her name added to the register of voters and thinks everything was correct, but then it turns out that some information was missing, address details, etc., etc., and that means that it was not verified by the service of EPUA, but by the office. It might turn out that a voter was not included in the voters list. So we still keep urging people that they add their names to the register of voters, because that's the safest form. You get feedback, you get return information. If you get a negative decision that needs to be in the form of an administrative decision, if a voter is added to the register of voters, then he or she doesn't need to add his or her name to the list of voters during every election. That's less work for the office and for the authorities and for the voters. It's enough just to come to the polling station and vote. It looks, however, that for the voters it's still easier to use a PUAP service than go somewhere with documents, etc., etc. If you want to have your name on the register of voters, you need to document your permanent place of residence. The effects are what they are. I know that there are offices that inform voters about the fact that they were not included or that they were included in the registers of voters. But I assume that if you leave it for the very last moment, then the number of incoming applications might be simply too high and unprocessable, or it's not enough time to provide return information. That's my assumption. However, if we receive such reports, it's the duty of the office to investigate the case, whether it was a mistake or not. If such situations occurred, and if the voter only learned about it in the polling station, be that a voter who added his or her name via a PUAP service or in person, or perhaps the name disappeared, it's the Commission's duty to call the office and verify in civil records whether the person should or should not be on the list of voters. And it is possible to add the name on an additional form. I understand that these were incidents, or do you have any information about a greater number of such cases? I think these were just incidental issues. We do receive reports about that. I assume that offices are also informed about it locally, perhaps the Ministry of Digitization as well as the ministry that is responsible for the portal. Well, we always urge voters to do it beforehand. I remember Judge Kozilewicz, my predecessor, who said that we Poles tend to do things in the very last moment. We should have done so before. Do you have any further questions? No. I would like to thank you for tomorrow and invite you to the first conference of the NEC tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you. And members of the Commission, down to work. You can rest. No. Thank you. But you don't work throughout the whole night, just like the commissions do.